Hello, welcome back to Game On, where we use sports and athletics to talk about everything related to mental health. So last week I was in the car during the day, which was a little atypical for me. Turned on the radio to some sports radio, and it was on the Dan Patrick Show. Some of you may be familiar, and he had a guest on. Some of you also may be familiar, Mark Messier. Very famous, very successful hockey player, now retired. And he asked him a very interesting question, which I think is worth repeating. He's like, Mark, is toughness something you're born with or something that you learn, especially when it comes to the sport of hockey and you're getting in there and there's fighting and so on and so forth? And first of all, I appreciated the question, and then also I appreciated the answer that Mark gave, because it's easy to just give like a, give an answer that they want to hear or it's a good sound bite. And he didn't give him a clear-cut answer. And he's like, toughness is actually pretty subjective. He's like, he thought of one particular player. He's like, Brian Leach, who was also on the Rangers. He's like, he's one of the toughest players I knew, and yet he barely got into any fights. I think he might have said he maybe never got into a fight. He's like, so what made him tough is that he was able to get into the zone, even though hockey pucks, which can be quite dangerous, are going pretty darn fast. He wasn't afraid to get into the zone and maybe get hit, or he never backed off from a player. It doesn't mean he had to prove himself by getting into a fight. But it does raise a good question: is toughness or resilience, and is it something born with? And it goes back to the century-old question of nature versus nurture. And I'm sure there are some people who are able to withstand more, and some of it's learned and behavioral, and who's modeling for us. So I really appreciated Mark's answers that your tough and my tough, we might have different definitions of what that is. And we all know that giving off this facade of toughness and like never showing any vulnerability and weakness in some instances is helpful, but in other instances it backfired, because if we never acknowledge that, then we're all still human. So it raised a very good conversation. What is being tough? Just being there sometimes, and not backing down, and being willing to take some pain and take some suffering and being uncomfortable, taking some risk. That could be tough. And other instances, you really need to stand up and you do need a fight. So I give props to Dan Patrick, and I give props for Mark Messier for not just like giving a canned answer of, for me it was this and this and that. No, it's like, it's subjective, and they're all valid, really. And like anything else, there's a balance between one end of the spectrum and the other. I hope you are enjoying these types of videos, and if you get anything out of it, I would really appreciate if you took just 10 seconds to like it, to share it, to rate it, maybe write a little comment or something like that. That would be really, really helpful. Have a wonderful day.